Katy Perry.
When I was 17, I moved from little Santa Barbara to big-time Los Angeles. I was chasing my dreams, and I wasn't gonna take no for an answer. I started looking up open mic nights, just trying out all my new songs. It was a wonderful place for me to work on my craft. Finally, after all that work and all those years, I heard my song on the radio for the very first time. I was in my little black beat-up car that eventually got repossessed. It was so exciting that I almost got into a car wreck. This is a city where everyone comes to roar. And this is Los Angeles, the center of the musical universe.
So many LA stories, but this one's mine. You know, we've been doing the band for about 6 or 7 years, and I realized that the only way for the band to progress is to, like, make the move out to LA. Strange when you're in LA and you're, like, walking around and you're like, that looks just like, because when you think that looks just like, it's the person. And it looks just off because, like, no one looks the way they look on TV when they're just, like, walking around to the store or whatever. There were times when we were like, was this the right decision to move out here and to try to make it as a band, you know? And I think that there's these moments where you get some clarity, and mine happened to be an Elvis sighting. Elvis Costello, one of my heroes, and it happened here at the Laurel Canyon store. It was probably just a simple thing for him just grabbing, you know, snacks or whatever, but for me was a sign that it was all gonna be all right.
I visited Hollywood for the first time when I was 10 or 11. And I remember going to the wig stores on Hollywood Boulevard and buying a blue wig. And I walked down the Star Walk and I did all these touristy things, and I saw all the crazy people dressed up by the Chinese theater as they still are today. And I thought, whoa, this place is crazy. I want to be crazy like these people because it seems normal here.
Some of my favourite memories of LA in general are just kind of living around the Sunset Strip, kind of above the whiskey, not actually in Motley Crue's house, but a little bit further up the hill. Just love that kind of part of the strip because it is so rock and roll, and all that rock and roll history and culture is still there. You know, every time I'd come down the street, there'd always be some band getting kicked out of the whiskey and like a load of like drum kits and amps all over the street and stuff like that. It's a cool town.
I was living in New York City. I remember at 4 in the morning when the bar closed down, I had my little rolly luggage at the bar on Rivington Street, and I rolled it out. I was like hailing a cab going, "Take me to Hollywood, I'm gonna be a star." And the taxi rolled up and all my friends were crying and throwing napkins and straws at me and telling me to go raise hell in LA. And I left, and when I got there, it was such a major fish out of water. I mean, I had leather on, and it was really hot, and I had tights and tons of makeup, and I mean, such a New York glamour girl now in a place where, you know, everybody was showing their skin and their figures and their perfect hair, and I felt so out of place, but I thought, well, I'm just gonna have to see if I can get everybody in this town to want to dress like me.
April 2008. We played in San Francisco, and we had to drive all night in a Chrysler that we rented so we could get down to Los Angeles in time to do press. And we showed up at this hotel called Le Parc, which we weren't staying at because it was too expensive, but the owner of our label was staying at. And he had been up all night and had flipped a Lamborghini. Remember that? Yeah. The night before, he had flipped a Lamborghini. Yeah, at that point, we weren't sure maybe, you know, what to make of LA. But to me, that's what LA is all about, maybe staying up all night flipping a Lamborghini.
You know, I wrote All of Me here in LA, just around the corner from where I live.
'Cause all of me loves all of you.
It was a song about my wife. We met actually on a video shoot, so it's a very LA story. It was a song that was on my album, and my friend, he just loved the song and wanted to shoot a video for it. And he was like, you gotta meet this girl, you're gonna love her, she's really beautiful, and she'll be great for this video. And he cast my future wife in the video, and that's how we met. So a lot of my love affair with LA started with my love affair with my wife.
So the first time I played in LA, it was at the infamous Viper Room, and it was all nice and quiet and gritty and dirty and cool, and then I see this like shadowy, shaggy thing in the background, and the guy with the shaggy hair, I'm obsessed with shaggy hair, I was like, I'd shag the shaggy hair guy. A few seconds later, he just covered his head, and then I turn around and I got introduced to him, and it was Steven Tyler. And you know, that was the moment where I thought, I'm never gonna shout, "I'll shag you again" to anybody ever again.
First show we played in LA was at the Cabana Club, and we had to pay to play because we couldn't get enough people out. We didn't know anybody in LA, and we played for our manager and the headlining band. And it was very
demoralizing.
But it's good. Every young band should go through that, going on before doors even open, playing for 4 people, and then slowly playing the Viper Room or the Roxy. It makes you not take a day for granted. You really appreciate where you're at and know that if you one day decided to step back, there's a million other people that will fill your position and do a better job than you're even doing. And so we just feel grateful to be where we're at.
Born and raised in LA. I think LA is a city that embraces music, so I always felt like what I was doing was very appropriate for where I was, and always felt encouraged, never discouraged to do it. You know, I remember when I was a kid, it would be just going anywhere and seeing anybody, I'd be excited to hear music come out of PA, and what a cool legacy that LA had, you know, and amazing. Sunset Strip had one of the best music scenes in the world, so it was cool growing up with that. From a young age, you're exposed to a lot of the great things that LA has. You know, I think that if you want to be a musician, you want to be a singer, you're in the right town for that. So I kind of just grew up with all these great places at our disposal, like the Troubadour, and you know, going to the Whiskey to see bands, and the Viper Room was one of the coolest spots to play. And I remember, you know, we couldn't even drink, and we were too young to drink, so we would have to play our show and then kind of leave. So there was a little door by the stage, and every time we played a show there, we had to perform and then walk right out the door. The security guards would be waiting for us to kick us out, which was amazing. I love LA.
Los Angeles, California. Gotta love it. We love it. So we decided that we were gonna film a music video there in LA. We went to the water, we rented a pirate ship. We're gonna do a rap video, you have to have a pirate ship. You gotta have like 40 extras, you gotta have a bunch of girls, you gotta have some champagne. We didn't have champagne, but we had vomit. Hot chocolate and vomit. We got out to the water, there was like 30-foot waves. We're like 5 hours out from the shore. Everybody starts throwing up, like literally all these random extras that we found on Craigslist because we weren't trying to pay actual actors start throwing up in unison. We're 5 hours out. I was the sickest I have ever been in my life. Go Los Angeles. Lakers!
December 2000, we were on a flight to LA for the first time ever, and we'd just kind of broken in Britain. And so the pilot said, "Oh, Chris, why don't you come up and sit with me while we land the plane into Los Angeles?" I was like, great. So I sat in the cockpit of a 747 coming over the mountains, and LA just appeared like Christmas. And I was like, I love it here, you know? The magic of LA for me is that nothing seems impossible, but that you sort of have to make it happen yourself. Because it can be quite a lonely place and quite intimidating, and on the wrong day you can feel a bit lost and alone in the city.
Call it magic.
You know, it is full of people who have big dreams, and any person who's having big dreams has ups and downs, but that there's always more movies to be made, and there's always more records to do, and there's always possibility. Something is always possible.
I want to say it was summertime, right around this area. My pops, he was out, and he seen Pac and Dre shooting a video right here at the Compton Swap Meet. I was at the house a few blocks down, and I'm a kid, I'm like 8 years old. Pulled up, he said, "Pac and Dre, they shooting a video, you want to come ride with me?" So by the time we pull up, it's It's like just a sea of people. Kids, grandmas, dogs, cats, you feel what I'm saying? I remember him just putting me on his shoulders and be like, look, there they go right there.
West Coast.
Yeah, legendary. They right there doing their thing, rapping. It just inspired me, man. That's a moment that I never forget. You know, I didn't know that 8 years old. You know, 15, 20 years later, I'm doing the same thing they was doing. You know, going out here and making music that people can live to. Since we right here in my town, my city, my swap meet, you should know that it began with California love.